it's the start of a new month. So the good thing about that is that CoreLogic puts out its monthly price house stats. And to help me with all of this data, Jack's going to come on and give us a bit of a breakdown. So Jack, welcome, come in. We're going to use the big TV screen. So hopefully you can see it. Now, we can all read these numbers. And I think it's pretty simple to say for the month, nationally, we had 0.7% growth. Yep. The big talk is all about Sydney and Melbourne recording a negative number. Yep. Now, it's not a big negative number, 0.2% for Sydney, 0.1% for Melbourne. And that is across everything. I know there's a lot of breakdown between freestanding homes, apartments. But ultimately, the way that I look at it, when people start stressing about these numbers, look at the annual figure. 17.7 and just under 10%. That's pretty strong. So I don't think that there's any call for alarm yet. Yep. But tell me, what should our listeners be thinking about? What can they actually expect to see behind these numbers? And is it all doom and gloom? Should we be going and hiding and burying our head in the sand? Or should we be continuing to feel good and buying new cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, new watches, whatever it is? What do these mean? Tell us.
Yes, James, you're right. And we've seen like the Melbourne and Sydney, the monthly for the March, we're seeing a little bit of the decrease. But like you said, it's right. We're seeing the annual growth. Even we see the quarter, which is still positive. And which is the quarter increase, the home value for national is 2.4%. Although this is slower, this is a lower number, this is only the half compared with the same period last year, which is March quarter 2021. We have 5.8% of the value increase for that quarter. But considering we have the very, very good numbers through the 2021 the whole year, now we're pretty much a little bit cooling down. Plus, we have the more stock on the market. We have the other sort of like the fact might be people thinking affected the market a little bit. So giving the figures 2.4% for the quarter increase, which is still above the average level. So we don't need to worry about the market.
So putting it simply, and I think Greg's touched on this before, don't get caught up in individual monthly numbers because who knows what was sold, what wasn't sold, the makeup of it, because there's markets within markets. If we're sort of looking at this quarterly figure that's, 3 consecutive months, 2.4%, that's still pretty strong. We come to these markets, sure, they're low numbers, they're still positive, and I don't think anyone is going to be unhappy when they've seen, 10, almost 20% growth in those two major markets over the last 12 months, that they're saying, going up just a little bit slower. Yes. Because I always tell my kids about the hare and the tortoise, slow and steady wins the race. You don't have to get rich today. You can get rich gradually over time.
You're 100% right.
Now, you're just talking about more stock on the market. I see you've given me this graph to have a look through. Yep. What exactly do you mean, or what is this telling our buyers out there? Because there's some positive numbers, some negative numbers, and I'm assuming there's some correlation between whether we're seeing positive and negative and how the house price growth is going on. So what exactly does this mean?
This figure, this pictures basically tell us the listing, new listing on the market. Basically, we divide it by the different capital city, but we major look in the Sydney and Melbourne, which is two biggest city for the country. But how we say the Sydney, which is 7.5% more listing than last year. And the Melbourne is also 5.5% more listing than last year, which means we have huge amount of this stock on the market to the buyer, which is good things for the buyer because give them the opportunity to negotiate the price. They have a more choice. And also it will help to cooling down a little bit on the market. That's why we're saying the market pace is a little bit slowing down. But we're thinking like we have looked the other capital city, we might have saw some negative growth, but it doesn't matter. And because, those city, the stock is not enough for people to purchase, which driving the price up. So this is like demand and the supply. So we look in the Melbourne and Sydney, we have a huge number of stock on the market. We still got such good number, like we seen before, 2.4% of the quarterly increase, which means the market is still good.
Okay, good. I've seen a few comments coming through from people saying there's a bit of reflection on the TV and you can't see it. So we will try and share after these graphs if you didn't see it. But basically what Jack was saying, I'll break it down into 2 sentences for you. It's a simple lesson in supply and demand. We talk about this all the time. When there's more supply than demand, prices will slightly go down or stay at the same level. When there is less supply than demand, prices will go up. So simply we're seeing here that there's slightly more supply of homes for sale in Sydney and Melbourne. Brisbane and Adelaide, there's significantly less. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. If we go back here, Sydney and Melbourne have seen, sort of staying steady, and Brisbane and Adelaide are seeing really, really strong growth. So again, just remember, it's a supply and demand story. These are not new homes. This is just, you might be falling victim to it as well. The local real estate agent says, hey, did you see the price I just achieved next door? Did you see what I got for John? Did you see what I got for Mary? And what do? You might not be wanting to sell, but you say, oh, well, if I can get that kind of price, I'll try. But you may not be serious. And that's what we're sort of seeing coming through here. And people shouldn't really stress about that too much.
Yes. No.
All right, now just quickly before I let you go, I saw another slide you had here on rental figures. Just tell us in a quick snapshot for investors, we're starting to see some good news because I can see positive numbers across here. I'm not too sure about the detail, but it's looking better and better, isn't it?
Exactly. Like we're saying, the quarterly increase for the rental, which is 2.6%. The last quarter, which is December 2021, we're seeing this number is 1.9%, which means the rental is keep growth, and which is good things for the investor. That's why we're seeing more and more investors starting inquiry to purchase the property. And plus, after the border is open, we're already seeing a lot of the immigration overseas students flying into the Sydney and Melbourne. We had the huge rental demand, and this could eventually convert into the purchase demand because they fly into the country. They might live in here for a few years. So now we might see the rental market is booming, the rental is going up, and eventually we will see the demand for the purchase, for the buying, and also the property price is going up eventually again.
All right, so you heard it there from Jack. Basically, in spite of what some of the naysayers may be saying, there's a lot of positivity out there. And I think one of the things that I gleaned from this today is that whilst house prices might be starting to level out a little bit, there is this underlying current that's happening in the rental market. And remember, renters eventually become buyers. And that's probably what's going to get us through coming here. And the thing you should really watch this space of Sydney and Melbourne because it has been woeful the last 2 years, right? We're not going to lie to you. It's been terrible, right? But you're now seeing for the quarter, 2.3, 2.5%. It's getting better and better. And when we break this down, which, we might do another session on in a bit more detail, and we have a look at apartments versus freestanding houses, apartments took the brunt of it. It was terrible. It was carnage, in 2020 when no one knew what was happening. We've had no migration, no students, nothing, but it's been really, really strong this year. So I expect to see bigger and better things happening. So Jack, just to sum it up, people should relax, don't get too stressed, but still be wary and keep an eye on this and probably just tune into us every week. And that's the easiest way, isn't it?
Yes. Relax like us, and we'll see the good results eventually. Yeah.
Okay, good.